Yeah. Wait for some people to get on here, but those of you guys that may be listening to this after the fact or watching this after the fact, welcome to this episode of On Another Line Live, which we have determined the name of today's show is going to be Fish Grass, Don't Smoke It.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Um, you know, even grass clippings, I wouldn't recommend that stuff either. Anywho,
Lungs.
yeah. So anyway, right after this short intro, we will get into talking about how you can determine what kind of grass you're fishing, our favorite baits for said grass, and JR has a pretty cool announcement about a boat that he bought, and it is in at Malone's Marine. So right after this intro, we'll get right on into it.
That's a life of a fisherman you wouldn't understand. Something you can't feel on dry land. You gotta get your arms way up in a cage and set the hook on smallmouth bass, and then you'll understand. You gotta get your hands on a Shimano reel and a G-Loomis trying to bet you like what you feel. Step on the deck, giving the world hello, welcome to my world.
Yeah, buddy. Welcome to this episode of On Another Line Live. If you guys are just now joining us, my name is Tyler, and on the other side of the screen,
JR, welcome.
Welcome to this episode of On Another Line Live, where you see topics that we just come up out of our heads thinking about every week. And I will tell you, it is very, very, very tough trying to come up with pertinent information that you guys probably don't know or maybe you've not thought of. So this episode, we're going to kind of break down the types of grasses that you may see in and around your area. And this is basically all the United States, but basically looking at the the Midwest here, or somewhere in the Ohio region. So we got a pretty good episode coming for you guys. But first and foremost, JR has an exciting announcement to make, along with the guys at Malone's Marine. So I'll let him kind of talk about that, and I'll see if I can't grab a picture here.
Yeah, so my PHX 21 Phoenix came in. It's got a 250 Mercury Pro XS V8 engine in it, and it is beautiful. We went and looked at it today. It just came in, delivered, from Tennessee, and they're rigging it for me. They have taken the best care of me. So big shout out to everybody at Malone's Marine, especially Tyler, who took great care of me, as well as Chris, of course, too. I think we've got some. Hopefully we'll have something picture wise on there. I'm not sure how to show it from my phone on here, Tyler. I would, but
I'm working on it right now. So trying to find one here.
But we'll have some updates, videos, and kind of keep you guys updated in the rigging process too. I can't wait to get it in my garage and put all my baits in it and obsess about how to organize it, because that's one of my favorite things about it, about fishing in general, is organizing and getting the baits exactly how you want them. And I know you guys have seen my bass cave, so that is something that I personally love. Got to get all those Picasso lures in there too, right?
That's right. So on the screen here, you guys should be seeing JR and Tyler here in the back of Malone's Marine here. Again, JR's brand new 2024 Phoenix 21 PHX, which is, as far as I know, the top dog of the Phoenix lineup. This is, JR's buying an amazing boat. And again, just from what I've been around, Chris and the guys down there, they're definitely taking care of JR, and they're doing a lot of things that are kind of above and beyond with it. So I do want to give a shout out to, obviously, take that for what it's worth. And you may think that's biased because they are a partner of our show, but I would like to say that, they're not paying for our help. We're just kind of trying to help somebody, in our area that we like. And, JR done a lot of work and looking around, and found out that Phoenix was probably the boat for him. But Tyler down there, as far as I know, I'm putting words in JR's mouth to let him talk about it. Basically made it a pretty easy process. Went down there, told him what he wanted. They ordered it. The boat was delivered within 2 weeks of the due date that it was supposed to be there, and that wasn't Chris and those guys' fault. That was, Phoenix being kind of behind. So, a really nice boat. You can see it there. And as JR mentioned, there'll be a video coming out on YouTube tomorrow based on the very first look at it. But we're going to continue to talk about the boat, look at different things within the boat that he may, find out over the next, course of 20 years or however long he has this boat. So, be looking for that on the YouTube channel as well. So congratulations, JR, on an awesome boat. And we're kind of, chomping at the bit, or I am, and it's not even my boat, to get out there and check it out.
Oh, absolutely, man. They have taken such good care of me too. I would have no reservations sending anybody over there to them. They have just kind of walked me through the process. I mean, I've only had one other boat, and it was, an aluminum boat. So this has been a big upgrade in my eyes. So,
yeah. Also, those of you guys that may or may not know, I am actually in the running for a $1,000 cash prize for the My YOLO Tech Video of the Year contest. I am going to post some links here in the comments below. These comments, the first one I'm posting right now is the Instagram link. If you click on that, and again, I'm giving you permission to hop over there. So here's the deal. You can on Instagram, Facebook, and X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it this week. But each one of these, it's My YOLO Tech on Instagram. Facebook is facebook.com. I think YOLO Tech. I'll post the comments in the bottom, but you'll see a video, or you'll see a picture, and I will share my screen here really quickly with you. There's a lot of people that were commenting on my actual post, and it really doesn't do anything for me. But if I look at this Instagram post here, if you find this actual picture on Facebook or Instagram or X or Twitter, you can see here that my ugly mug is number 16 down here. If you would just comment either number 16 or number 16 is the best down through here. I'm getting my rear end whipped on Instagram. But the reason I kind of hate this is that I feel like that I created one of the best videos that I've ever created in my life for just a short video. That's easy, and it's turning out, this is a popularity contest. So, it depends on who has the biggest following. So I'm asking you guys, if you get a chance, either now or later, to go over to YOLO Tech's website, or their Facebook page, or their Instagram, both. You can vote on both or all three, and it will count as well. Each one of them are separate. If you do multiple ones on like Facebook, it's only going to count once. But if you vote one time on each thing, that would definitely help me out. Right now, I'm going to really try to push it for the next couple days. And then I'll leave you guys alone about it, because again, I know what it is. Everybody always trying to push to try to get help. But that $1,000 that I stand to win could be potentially helping me get a live scope set up, which is going to, in turn become better footage for you guys in the end. So if you would go out there and like that, or not like it, but if you go out there and comment number 16 on Facebook, YouTube, you can do it on YouTube as well. If you find my video, you can go to YOLOTech.com, I believe it is, and you can see it.
Number 16 is the best.
Number 16 is the best.
I did it on Facebook. Now I have done it on Instagram.
Appreciate it. So yeah, that is one thing. Now, our main topic for today is, first off, I feel like we're going to have a really limited number of views tonight, because I believe Kentucky is playing. I also believe Duke is playing. There's a lot of basketball games going on. I personally don't get into basketball, but I know there's a ton of our followers that do. So it is what it is. But our main topic for this evening is how to determine what types of grass Yeah. So as Jaros put us in the comment there, drop some of your favorite baits for grass. Now if we look at this, and again, here comes the teacher in me, right? Here's the PowerPoint. Who the heck has a PowerPoint for fishing? Tyler does, I guess. What has 2 thumbs and has PowerPoints? This guy. Anyway, how to break down the types of grass. Now, one of the things that I have a hard time doing as an angler is trying to figure out what grass is more productive than others and how to differentiate said grass from others. I'm sure I'm going to be missing some grass here that you probably have seen in the past. I will tell you, there was no marijuana that is harmed in this whole entire presentation. We're talking about aquatic grasses here. So a couple of things we're going to be looking at today, and I'm not going to bore you to death with a lot of it. We're going to talk about how to determine and look at different pictures about how to determine what type of grass you may be looking at or seeing in ponds and lakes around your area. In our opinions, which one we think hold more fish. Do we have them all around here? And then we're just going to kind of at the end kind of throw some baits out there that we kind of like to fish in all grass areas, depending on what that is. So with that being said, the very first one is going to be hydrilla. Hydrilla is the one that you hear more people often talk about as being like hydrilla gorillas, man. They're just absolutely hammer holes. If you can find hydrilla within a lake, they're usually chocked full with bass. And JR and I was having a conversation before the show started, and I really didn't know this, but the state of Ohio considers hydrilla a nuisance and a species that they want to eradicate. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about that. What about, what's your thoughts, JR?
I know why they don't want it, taking up a bunch of their lakes, what have you, but I personally love it because it holds the hydrilla gorilla or the big bass hiding out in there. And for hydrilla, I love flipping, Texas rigged. Normally my favorite is to flip like a Texas rigged beaver style bait in hydrilla. I really like using a chatterbait on the edges of hydrilla, but actually in the hydrilla, I mean, I've caught some big fish flipping those hydrilla mats, which is where they're these long stalks, it's perfect to flip right down in them. There's some really nice ones up north, actually. Of course, I think when everybody talks about hydrilla, everybody thinks specifically about Gunnersville, or at least I do. But I don't know. I can't help it. I love hydrilla. I know a lot of people will, like Bass and Passion saying here, they'll spray, and then some of these lakes will go as far as they'll want you to spray off your boat if you go to a lake that has a lot of hydrilla in it and then get into their lake, which I've never seen a DNR that's quite that crazy, but I've heard about it.
I've never seen I saw some private lakes. I fished a private lake in Ohio that was up around Youngstown. And it's a big, giant private lake. It was actually city owned, and it was one of those deals where they had spray off stations that you would spray your boats on and off when you got out of the water and both in the water, which was crazy. But as I was talking about earlier, I just found out recently while I was doing some research on this topic that, again, the state of Ohio was looking to eradicate it, or they wanted eradicated. And that's weird to me, but it's an invasive species, for one. That's what's so bad about it. And as Bass and Passion said there a little while ago, a lot of people, they spray for grass. Jared was talking about it in Gunnersville and other places like that. And I'm not so sure that doesn't have a negative effect on bass. If it's killing grass, at the minimum, you're killing bass habitat. And not are you killing things where bass have the ability to hide in, but you're also killing habitat that fry and smaller bait fish are going to, lose the ability to be hidden in that stuff. So I do believe that. But again, on the next slide here, you're going to see, and you can search for this up, hydrilla verticula, or it was like verticulata. So a non-native, highly undesirable aquatic plant. And if you could see that Ohio counties with hydrilla there, you can see that down there in Lawrence County, Scioto County, looks like probably Gallia County, Adams County, and there's a lot of them up north. You can see those three those three boxes at the top right. That's around Youngstown. If you've ever been to Mosquito Lake, it is absolutely, I mean, just hammered full of hydrilla, and there are some big old fish in there.
Big fish in that lake too.
Some big old fish. Now, so that's what I was talking about here. They talk about the prevention controls. Well, first off, they want you to look for tubers and things that come with hydrilla, which are basically the reproductive systems of these things. They want you to get any kind of grass off your boat, which, I mean, I know that. Like, first off, it's not because I don't want grass going from one pond to the other, but I'm not going to like go down the road have my boat looking like Swamp Thing. So I'm going to get all that stuff off. But they talk about the ways that they're kind of, preventing it or attempting to control it is one, as we were talking about, spraying it. Two, they're actually using these underwater, for lack of a better term, aquatic lawnmowers to cut this stuff. And they are also kind of bringing in sterile grass carp to basically have them eat some of it. But there are situations where you're seeing a lot of different differentiation with the amount of hydrilla. Those of you guys that have ever been to Indian Lake up around north of Dayton there, it's in Bellefontaine, Ohio. Indian Lake is absolutely chock full of hydrilla. So much so you can see this pontoon setting on a flat within Indian Lake here. Again, this is I believe, if I'm reading this correctly, this is a photo from Kevin Campbell. This is not my photo, obviously. Drone photo of the hydrilla that you see in Indian Lake in Bellefontaine, Ohio. This stuff has gotten so thick, and they actually got a pretty good hold on it last year, where they were using these aquatic, again, for lack of a better term, lawnmowers, where they were actually like harvesting this stuff and basically taking it to dumps and things, and it did kill a lot of it out. But not this year, but last year, this is what the entire lake looked like. It was from, like, as far as I understand, when I was there, me and Kyle was running he's got a brand new Mercury 250 Pro XS, just like JR just bought. And it was so thick that it was choking his motor out, and we were having to stop it from overheating. Like, we couldn't even hardly run in it. It was so nuts. So while hydrilla carries giant bass, you all obviously don't want your lake to look exploded that much like this. This is kind of the extreme of it. Yeah. So, hydrilla, that's the one most everybody talks about. And the next one is, I see a lot, usually in stagnant ponds. I don't see very many patches of duckweed in, like, you're not going to find this stuff at Yatesville. You're not going to see this at Grayson, stuff that has water moving through it. Duckweed is usually found in ponds and stagnant water where there's just like rain and runoff coming in there. For some reason, it doesn't blow up in other areas, but this stuff is actually, as far as I know, like a form of algae. There's not really any kind of roots that go towards the bottom of the lake. It floats on top of the water. And as you can see in the picture on the top right there, kind of just small leaflets. And they don't get much bigger than that. They spread out, but the leaves don't get very much bigger than that. Duckweed, from my limited knowledge and my research over the last few days, kind of prepping for this topic, it is beneficial to a lake if you see it in stagnant water like that, because it's going to be adding oxygen within the water, because again, with photosynthesis and things like that, it's going to be turning carbon monoxide into carbon dioxide, not monoxide. If we'd all have problems, but carbon dioxide, CO2 into oxygen, which is then going to be transferred into the water and into the air you and I breathe. So that is, it is kind of beneficial. This stuff is easy to punch through. I personally, and I'll let JR give his experience, but I personally don't find duckweed as a fish attractant, you're not going to find a big giant fish in duckweed, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just annoying.
Yeah. Bluegill, things like that, you're going to find around. Duckweed normally is going to be in really shallow, warm water where you're not going to find a bunch of bass unless it's really early in the springtime. Again, duckweed just kind of floats on the surface, doesn't have a really big root system, is beneficial. You're not going to see this like explode over an entire lake and take over it as you would see hydrilla in the last slide there. Now, one of the types of grass that gets most often confused with hydrilla is going to be milfoil. Milfoil is similar in the stature of the way the stalks float and things in water, but there is one determination between milfoil. Milfoil actually has these 4 little branches that are in bunches. So you'll go up the stem, and then 4 branches or bunches will kind of come out, and they're kind of like stepped up the stalk of the grass. Now with milfoil, this is something that you see a lot more down south. You can find them in areas in this area. Milfoil is in my opinion kind of like second to hydrilla. I feel like that if I had to choose, I'm going hydrilla, and then if I can find some milfoil to throw in and around, you can bet your end I'm fishing it.
Yeah, I feel like I often get confused coontail and milfoil because they have a lot, more similar appearance.
What's up, Larry? Hey, buddy. Hey, Fred. What's up, buddy? Thanks for joining.
Welcome, guys.
So you're right, Jara, and that's kind of funny you mentioned that, because the next one we're going to talk about is going to be coontail, and I put 2 different pictures here of milfoil and coontail, top and bottom there. They're terrible quality photographs. I apologize for that, but on the left hand side you can see coontail, and on the right bottom is coontail, on the right top is milfoil. So you can see that they are similar in structure and they are similar in size and shape. They do kind of act the same in water. These things are going to be a lot of this stuff, coontail, milfoil, and stuff like this. You could see coontail and milfoil that's 6, 8, 10 foot tall. I mean, this stuff obviously grows from the bottom of the lake, and as the lake gets warmer and warmer through the summer, these things start out on the bottom and grow their way to the top. So, even like Lake St. Clair this year I've seen the most grass I'd ever seen in my entire life in Lake St. Clair in the last 10 years of me going there. I saw fish in grass, which, fish equals grass. So, like, if you see grass, there's going to be fish around it, whether that's bass or some type of fish around it, I can promise you. Matter of fact, we were catching walleye and all kind of stuff out of grass last year in Lake St. Clair. But one of the things that, I did notice is that I saw grass in the deepest water I've ever seen in my life. I saw grass that was 16 to 18 foot tall in Lake St. Clair. It would be in 20 foot of water, and you come up on a grass bed, and it would be literally floating on top of the water, and you could see the stalks running all the way to the bottom of the lake because it was so clear. And that's another thing that people don't think about as far as grass is the filtration of the grass. Right. So if you have a ton of grass in your lake, if we go back a couple slides to that picture that we're looking at of Indian Lake here, I mean, look how gin clear this water is because of all this grass. Right. So, I mean, it may be a foot under the water, but you could see literally that is individual grass stalks in there, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like Yatesville in the past couple of years has really gotten a lot of coontail in it for one reason or another. Especially on the main lake, I definitely see a lot more coontail, and it without a doubt holds fish. I don't know if you guys have been catching a lot of fish off these patches, especially off the main lake is where I've seen it. But I feel like it's holding a lot more fish and keeping a lot more fish all year round.
Right. So one of the things about Yatesville is that I've noticed in the last 5 years is there's been an extreme explosion of shad in the lake. I'm not sure who turned those loose. So I'm sure it's got to be the DNR. I don't imagine there's somebody just randomly going out there and throwing shad into the lake. But between the population of shad exploding and that grass, like you said, there's more grass in the area in Yatesville, and I've seen in a really long time. And in the last year, we've seen some of the biggest bags weighed in at Yatesville than we ever have. At some tournaments, it's taken 18 plus pounds. Hey, Brandon, what's up, buddy? Yeah, Carnico, really good place to fish. I enjoy fishing that one. Which, by the way, guys, Brandon sent me the other day. I don't know if it's totally official yet. So I will, let him say that. But I want to invite you guys out to fish with those guys, and they fish with Lewis County Lunkers. Brandon Buckner is the president. But I can go ahead and tell you that their first tournament is going to be Saturday, Sunday on Grayson, March 2nd and 3rd. These guys are absolutely getting after it on the month of March. 2-day tournament to open up the season, March 2nd and 3rd. That is at Grayson, obviously. March 19th, which is a Saturday at Yatesville. March 16th, Saturday at Cave Run. March 23rd, Saturday at Paintsville. And March 30th, Saturday on the Ohio River. And I think he told me that he was going to have to change one of those dates, but that's 5 tournaments with 1 2-day tournament in March. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we've really got to hit up Cave Run more this year. I've only been there once. I think you went one time last year, and it's such a big lake. It's got to hold more bass. I mean, I know it's kind of known for its muskie population, but I mean, that's a lake that's too close not to take advantage of.
It's I've been there 3 times now, and I caught a limit of fish and thought I had a chance to win in it, but psych.
2-pound limit.
Less than 2 pound, I think. It's like. Maybe it was. I think it was like 2 1/4 pound with 5 fish. And that's just absolutely smashing on them.
Yep.
Speaking of which, next slide here. Yeah, man, Lake St. Clair is my favorite place to fish on the planet. If it wasn't so cold in Michigan, I'd move there. I promise you.
Yeah, we're working on a summer house there, aren't we?
Yeah, for sure. So eelgrass. Eelgrass is another really big popular grass in this area, especially in waters that have a lot of moving water like the Ohio River. The eelgrass on the Ohio River has been spotty in the last couple of years, but if you can find eelgrass on the Ohio River, you're going to find bass on that eelgrass, I can promise you. Problem is, you got to find eelgrass that has water on it. Sometimes you'll see, because the Ohio River fluctuates on, as far as I'm not going to call it the tide of it, but the level of the water. You can see some eelgrass that's on the bank, and next week it may have water on it. Eelgrass is really, really thick when you get up north. When you look at Lake St. Clair, you get up into Lake Erie. When you look at like Saginaw Bay on Lake Michigan. And places like that, this is just phenomenal habitat for fish in the area. Eelgrass is one of the toughest grasses, in my opinion, to fish because it becomes really thick and it comes out very easily. Normally, you can run like a chatterbait or something through most other grasses and not get hung up all the time. With eelgrass, unless you're staying on top of it normally, especially with moving baits, I have a hard time fishing it, but I know it just holds fish, and I cannot not fish it.
Yeah. Dropping a black and blue Texas rigged creature bait is what I would do.
That's right. The old eelgrass. Bulrushes, aka cattails, something you see on the side of ponds. I rarely see this stuff out in the middle unless there's some kind of like a island or something like that, maybe a really shallow bar. I read today that you can actually eat these things.
Really?
I'm going to leave that to you guys unless I get really hungry, but I was told, if it's online, it's got to be true, right? So online it says, online it says you can eat it, and if it's online, it has to be true. So take that for what it is. But bulrushes and cattails. When I think about bass fishing, when I think about like quintessential bass fishing areas, I think about going to a private pond that nobody has fished in 20 years and throwing a spinnerbait around cattails like this and just absolutely getting annihilated by an 8-pounder.
Yeah. It's I just see the picture and I start smiling because I think about a chatterbait or a frog within the cattail just getting murdered.
Yeah. Bulrushes and cattails, you don't see too many of them on public waters. I will tell you there's some in like Little Blaine Creek. When you get way up in Little Blaine on Yatesville, you can see some of them. I don't know that I've ever seen any in Yates or in Grayson. I think there's like a patch of them down by the actual marina, places you can't fish. Stuff like this, really shallow water, you kind of got to take for what it is. You're going to be seeing these more on ponds and stuff like this, as opposed to it's going to be shallower water, stuff that gets a little warmer throughout the year. Again, cattails. If you've ever casted into a cattails, group like this, and you have a group of cattails that's kind of like blossoming and the seeds are going everywhere. If you've ever hooked one of these little hot dog shape looking cattail bulrushes, it's almost impossible to get your freaking bait back. And it comes back and looks like it's just a big poof ball.
And that's why it's good killing if you need to start a fire.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Water lilies, aka lily pads. There is actually, and I forgot to put it on here, but there's actually a secondary version. A hyacinth is kind of like a water lily, or what we call, every angler calls them lily pads, because it is. It's a water lily, but the big flat areas right here is going to be called a lily pad. And these things are another one of those quintessential bass aquatic vegetation where you see lily pads, that there's bass around. We'll talk about my favorite baits to throw in and around these things in just a minute. But one of my favorite memories over the last couple of years, myself, Dusty Smith, and his fiance Terry Lee were down in Lake Wheeler, or Wheeler Lake, whatever they call it, down in Alabama. And we pulled up in this big cove. It was nothing but, just chock full of lily pads. And we were throwing frogs in there, and, we caught a few bass here and there, but I had a fish blow up on a frog and miss it somehow. I don't know how I did it. Like, he come out of the water, missed a frog. And it was one of the things I put on my video last year, talking about how you should always, if you're fishing any kind of topwater, you should have some form of follow-up bait, whether that be a Texas rig, whether that be a jig, whether it be, something that you can pitch back into fish that miss a bait. Now, because if you think about it, the fish is attempting to eat that bait, I guess, one of two reasons. One, it's really hungry and it wants to eat that, or two, you've just kind of scared it, or you're getting a reaction strike out of that fish. Either way, it just thinks it missed the opportunity to eat that. So, it's kind of like I picture it like them eating it, and then they come on the water and they're just kind of like looking around like, where did it go? Where did it go? And if you throw something else in there, they 9 times out of 10 will eat it because they think it's what they tried to attempt to eat initially. So Dusty and I was there, and I was fishing this frog on like a 7'6" extra heavy SLX rod. Thing weighed like 6 pounds compared to the rest of my rods, and this thing blew up on this frog, missed the frog, and I threw a 7-inch power arm in there and caught it. It ended up being about a 4.5 pound bass, which was one of the biggest bass we caught all the weekend. So lily pads, really tough to beat. Last but not least, pondweed is something that I see less of in my area. You do see it in smaller ponds and things like that. I don't know that I've ever seen any of this stuff at Yatesville or Grayson. Has anybody seen this in the area? I'm not sure that I have. So those are the types of grass we're going to look at, or we've kind of talked about. And again, you can always go back and take a look at this if you missed that. But, when you talk about fishing grass, obviously you're talking about late spring, summer, into fall. Obviously, this grass doesn't usually exist in the early spring or late fall because it dies off. I think JR is going to give us one bait, and he's already kind of talked about it as far as fishing grass. If JR is fishing around grass, I think you're going to be throwing a chatterbait. Am I right?
Yeah, that's my favorite grass bait, without a doubt. I mean, a lot of people are going to say lipless, and I love a lipless crankbait. I probably catch more fish on a lipless than any other crankbait. But if I'm around grass, I'm going to throw a chatterbait. I'm going to, every time I get caught up in grass, pop the rod. It has that hunting action. That's a lot of the time when you're going to be catching the grass. You're going to be catching really high quality bass. It's a the jackhammer catches the donkeys, or the bladed jig catches the donkeys, I should say. So I'm actually really excited this year. Now that we've gotten with Picasso, they have something called a shock blade, and they have both it available with lead and tungsten. And my thought is that that blade hitting tungsten is going to make a different sound, probably a deeper sound, I would assume, with it being so dense. And with it hitting that tungsten, maybe that'll be a different sound that the fish haven't heard before. So my hope is that doing that might be something different that they haven't seen and may generate more bites. And heck, if it was designed by Aaron Martins, I'm all for trying it.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for that comment there, Ricky. Pondweed's in Yatesville, and he also says it's in Grayson. Shows how much I pay attention. Now that you mention it, I do believe I've seen pondweed up in like Blaine Creek and places like that. Maybe in the back of like I don't even know what it's called. There's some like in timber patches and stuff that's back in there. It's not prevalent, but does hold fish for sure. So yeah, Jared was talking about the shock blade and the shock blade pros and stuff. That's something I'm interested in continuing to throw this year. I've been throwing them for this fall. And I've had, first off, I don't have very good success on a blade or on a, bladed jig like that. I want to gain more confidence in it. I have a bait, or I have a rig just set up for it. I have the, an IMX Pro bladed jig rod. So, it's, I have the equipment. I do throw them. I did catch some fish at Cave Run. We were talking about on a shock blade this summer. So it's something I'm definitely going to be throwing. You mentioned a lipless crankbait. Lipless crankbait should be thrown within grass if at all possible. And ripping it or yo-yoing it out of that grass is a phenomenal way to catch some fish. Matter of fact, one of the biggest bass I've ever seen caught in Kyle Malone's boat came on that exact same technique. He caught one that was almost 7 pounds, like 6.5 pounds. He caught it at Gunnersville in March of 2020, right when the world was ending. We were down there fishing along with the pros for the Bassmaster Classic. Obviously, we were not in the Bassmaster Classic. We were just fishing along, not beside them, but we were fishing in the same lake, obviously, in Gunnersville. Kyle's ripping this red-eye shad, catches just an absolute swamp donkey on this thing. And, I feel like that punching grass is going to be something that I do a lot more than anything else. Jig, some sort of Texas rig, like JR said. If I'm fishing, one of the main key areas that I'm going to be looking at when I go fish areas with grass is finding grass edges, man. That is where I would much rather fish, grass edges, finding spots that are, barren within grass areas. JR and I fished a buddy of his private ponds a couple months ago. He has a really clear lake, and it was full of different types of grass. And you could throw pretty much anything you wanted to across that grass and never get bit until you came through one of those barren patches where they were just sitting down there ambushing and ready to eat stuff.
Yeah, and it's so fun to flip those too. It's different than what you typically do with the Texas rig. And this is something that I actually learned up from a guide up at up on Erie of all places. Is there's a ton of grass up on Erie, especially around Pennsylvania aspect of Erie, and there's just all this grass for yards and yards and yards, and you flip the grass, you give it 2 little bounces. If you don't get a bite, the fish isn't there. You're not dragging it like your typical Texas rig. So keep on doing that, and find the right path that the bass is either on or traveling through.
Yes, sir, man. You're right. Weightless fluke over grass is slept on. I agree with that. Wacky rig style. You could throw this Texas rig But yeah, really tough to beat there, especially what you're talking about, getting it up, letting it fall down. Amazing. Mosquito Lake, again, we were talking about it a second ago, one of my favorite places to fish that's not St. Clair. You just go there and, man, you can catch fish after fish after fish. One time, me and Kyle, not knowing anything about the lake, we go there and fish Ohio Bass Nation tournament, and we just pull out. I see a bass bust the top water as soon as we pull out of the marina to take off. All the boats take off. We're the last boat, except for the guys calling numbers. They call our number, and the guy that's calling numbers takes off. And I told Kyle, he's like, man, I don't know anything about this lake. What do you think? I was like, well, I saw a fish bust over there. Let's just run over there. It was like, I don't know, 100 yards from us. We go over there. I pick up a popper. He picks up a popper because we just had one tied on. We sat there and caught 8 fish and called up 4 times, seems like, or 3 times within the first 8 minutes of the tournament. We had a full limit and was calling fish within, I'm talking 15 minutes of the tournament. Man, we thought we were on cloud 9. We're like, we're winning this joker. We had probably 15 pounds, right? We're like, this tournament is over. These guys don't know what hit them. We sat and caught fish after fish. I think you can actually still see the videos out on YouTube if you search for Mosquito Lake on my channel. I think we caught something like 50-some fish that day, ended up with like 15.5 pounds. We got our rear end stomped, son. The guy had like 18 pounds. We're like, we're winning this thing. Nope. Don't even come. We didn't even place. We got our rear end handed to us. Since then, we've learned how to fish it a little bit better, and it is a really good lake to fish. But you're talking about throwing weedless stuff and wacky rigs and stuff there. Amazing. But I'm telling you what, you throw a shaky head around a grass line there, hold the F on. I'm telling you.
Oh, I love a shaky head.
So good. So let's talk about a new bait, something that you guys have never seen before. I'd almost guarantee it. And that is something that is brand new for Shimano. Those of you guys know that I am a giant fan of Shimano baits. I like their World Minnow. I like the Macbeth Flat. I do feel like they're fairly expensive. I do feel like that they are really expensive. You're talking some baits with $12. Yeah. Speaking of which, I can't speak for this to be true. I don't know the actual date, but I think Greg Drown's Tackle Box is going to have a weekend sale at the Tackle Box to try to sell what he has left. It's supposed to be mid-February. As soon as we find the actual dates, we'll pass along to you guys. But as far as I know, it's still going to be 50% off like it was when he shut the doors. Still had a ton of stuff there, but we'll keep you posted. Right here is the new Shimano Ember, EMBER. This is the Ember 60 SP. This time of year and in the early spring, one of my favorite baits on the planet to throw is a Rapala Shad Rap. We talked about it last week. Shad Rap is one of the Shad Raps is a suspending crankbait. This bait right here, the EMBER, the Ember 60 SP, is a Shad Rap alternative that has 2 different things that's going for it. One, really small profile. This bait color right here is actually called SP Purple. It has flash boost technology in there. You guys can maybe you can see it there. That piece of foil that's in there, it's on 2 springs. It keeps that thing fluttering. It also has a tungsten bead that's in here. That's what's known as their jet boost technology. So as you cast it, it actually goes to the back of the lure, giving you more inertia to cast this thing. And as soon as it hits the water, you guys are not seeing this. Actually, you can see that little channel in the center there. You can see that BB. Let's see if I can get it here where you can see it. You can see the BB.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of go up. There's a magnet here that keeps it there. So this is the Ember 60 SP and SP Purple. Make sure I think it's ST Purple, not SP. This bait right here, I think, is going to be phenomenal this spring. This is clear red. You can see this a little better. You can see the flash boost technology in there. Jet boost. Let's see if I can get this one to, so you guys can maybe see it a little better.
Yeah.
You can actually see the bead there at the bottom now. My lights in my studio here are kind of making it really tough. There it is in the center. You can see it moving. And then it actually gets attached to that thing. So it's a weight distribution system. This thing does have a little bit of a rattle to it, but this is going to be an absolute go-to bait for me this spring. Shimano Ember EMBER clear red ST purple. I think it's called Caillou collar. They're just going to be good. Don't get me wrong, these things are expensive. I want to think that these baits are like $13 a piece. Really expensive, but I'm really excited to get out on the water and test these things out.
What's the weight on those, man?
Weight is 1/5 ounce.
1/5.
It is I think these things are 3 to 7 feet. Dive up to 6 feet. Larger tapered lip created darting action when twitched. It's recommended to reel until the ember reaches the desired depth before twitching and pausing the lure. So kind of jerk bait-ish crankbait deal. You can bring this thing down to a depth, jerk it, and it'll stay suspending. You can also reel it just like a Shad Rap. I really, really, really like this bait. The top of the bait is kind of slim.
Looks like a good cold water bait for sure.
Faux show. Ember 60 SP from Shimano.
Chad, I would love to get up there to the Finger Lakes, man. I hear so many good things about that. I bet there's some hammers up there for sure because that's such big water.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of New York and getting hammered up there, fishing the Toyota Series. If everything goes right this year, I am putting my name in the hat as a co-angler for the Toyota Series. Also, now that I have 17 of you guys out there watching, I appreciate it. I've posted some comments. Matter of fact, I'll comment them again. If you have Instagram and you would like to click on that link that I just posted, and what I'll tell you is that if you guys are here, I apologize for beating a dead horse. If you heard this earlier, I am in the running for $1,000 cash prize for the My YOLOTech or YOLOTech Video of the Year contest. I won this thing 2 or 3 years ago. Wasn't near the competition as there are now because, again, it's $1,000 prize money. And I am trying to buy LiveScope at this point. Got a price from Tyler and Chris down at Malone's Marine today. I know what I have to have, and I know that $1,000 would definitely help me out towards that. So again, if you don't mind, you can vote on 3 different platforms, actually 4 different platforms, but Facebook and Instagram is all I'm really worried about. If you go on there, you're going to see a picture that says like edited video of the year, and you'll see my face on number. It says number 16, and I'm there like holding a fish, doing this number or whatever. They screenshot that. If you would, comment on their post. That number, you just type in number 16 or 16 is the best. I don't care what you put on there, but it would help me out. I appreciate it. Again, I'm still trying to dive into that $1,000 prize package because, again, LiveScope system I'm looking at, which is an LSV 34 and a 12-inch Echo Map, Garmin is going to be about $3,800. So $2,800 is way better than $3,800
for sure.
Mathematication.
Chlorophyll, more like borophyll. I wanted to say that the entire time when you're talking about grass. I was like, oh, calm it down. Maturity.
Have you ever seen the movie Biodome?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, like that's like, I think everybody should be required to watch that movie.
Yeah. I mean, going out and getting pizzas and taking it in the Biodome,
personally, that's a very good question. I'm
All depends on that weight transfer.
Yeah,
But-
so I think you can cast on a bait caster. Especially, obviously I'm gonna throw out a product here that we believe in, and we're obviously affiliated with Shimano, but a DC is going to help you cast this thing. Which, by the way, Shimano just released the Metanium DC 70, which my Lanta. Really excited about that. SLX DC. They have the SLX 70 coming out. I do believe, if you have your bait caster set up correctly, I tell you what, this thing would be great on would be a BFS.
Oh yeah, man. Especially if they have a lower, ratio BFS, which they don't currently.
Yeah, I wish they would make a 7. They need to make a 7, but they don't. They have 8.5 BFS. But so preferably, I'm going to try to throw this on a bait caster. Something going to be like a 70 reel, probably like a Corrado 70, 10-pound test. Throwing this on like a 7-foot medium glass, probably X Pride at this point.
You could throw a jerkbait rod, really. I mean, it'd probably be good, especially since you can use it that way too.
Yeah. I think with the Jet Boost, and you guys are probably not hearing this, but the weight transfer system on this is going to it's going to cast it, pretty good. Yeah, so I agree with this. All right. So sorry, Chad. JR and I can both put those things up, and we do that stuff all the time. Like, yeah, which or first. Anyway, yeah, right. Medium light, great. I would potentially throw it on a spinning rod as well. Maybe something like a 852 NRX Plus or 872 NRX Plus. Someone, if you want to get a little farther out there, 872 might be perfect for it. JR posted a video or a photo yesterday on our Facebook page and Instagram talking about the Vanford. Vanford is a really, really good reel for something like that. Let's see. I do not, but let's find one. I want to find we'll just pull up Tackle Warehouse. They have, I lied to you guys. These things are $20 a piece.
Holy cow.
So here's the Ghost AU. Let me share my screen here really quickly. And we'll look at some of
that's nice.
So here is Ghost AU. So the one that I have is this one. Obviously, this is clear red.
Dude, look at smelt.
Pink smelt. So there's pink smelt. This
ST smelt.
ST smelt. Oh yeah, that's sweet. This Kayau, this color right here was one that I ordered and didn't get it. I will have this one for sure. Kayau. Let's just look some black silver. That's going to be a good bait, I think. Let's see, Ghost AU, pink smelt.
I think that one you got would be awesome on the river. I mean, with any like shiners. I mean, that kind of gold in it, the one you have.
Yeah, the S Hasu, really, really good looking bait. And again, so this ST purple is what I have here. What you can't see, you can see this on here. Let's just make it bigger. There you go. Now you can see it. So now you can see, here's the ball. You can see that weight distribution channel within there. I just think they're phenomenal looking. I love it. These little scales that you see here on this bait in this photo are reflective. If I move the bait, which you can't see right now, but if I move it in my, in my room here, I can actually see each individual one of those scales, which is daggone pretty cool. So let's look at that one that the Kayau or Kayau. I mean, look at that thing.
Would you just look at it?
And then one Jared was talking about was the ST smelt.
Yeah, man, that looks like a gizzard for sure.
Yeah. Again, they're $19 a piece, so kind of sucks, but You know, it's bad when you don't know how much you paid for them. You just call your rep up and like, I want some of them, send them to me.
I want that.
Yeah, I want it, and I want it now. So Basson, I personally just now got these things in yesterday. They're brand new for Shimano. Ordered them the day that I knew that they were available. But that is a very good video that I can come out with here soon. Hopefully in the next few days. Won't be this weekend because JR is on call. But we'll get out in JR's boat and do some running around. That'll be a good video. We can put the old GoPro under the water, especially this time of year when the water is going to be gin clear because it's super, super, super cold. Right now it may not be though. It's probably muddy because we had 5-6 inches of snow. That's all melted. We're supposed to have rain from here on until Friday of this week. So we might get washed out.
Yeah, that's when it goes. Get rid of the snow and then we'll get the rain. But
yeah, for sure.
I'm done with it.
For sure, guys. So anyway, we're at that 1 hour mark. We thank you guys for joining this episode of On Another Line Live. Look for new videos coming out. We do have a video coming out on YouTube about JR's boat. And if you guys missed it, JR bought a brand new 2024 21 PHX Phoenix. And it's an amazing looking boat, man. Congratulations from somebody that is uber jealous.
Well, thank you.
Is
I intend on taking you on said boat very often. Is
it okay to be jealous about that stuff?
No.
It's not okay?
No, not okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Friends don't do that.
Anyway, you guys have been an awesome crowd this evening. I appreciate you guys going around and taking a look at our rendition of Fish Grass Don't Smoke It. So one other thing, guys, you know what? Man, can I say this joke? Because your mom just commented, which means she's watching still.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up, Aaron? You just now got on. We're just now getting off. Probably because Kentucky basketball is playing. Anyway, heard a joke, JR? What did the sign say on the door of the out of business brothel?
Don't know.
Beat it or closed. You guys know the routine. If you guys can, get out there and lean on them. We'll see you next time on Another Line.